And I appreciate that. Deza, good morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. T. I hope you are well. And good morning to the co host, the listeners, and the people's advocate.
Good morning, sir.
My comment is based mainly on the education system that is, I think, to a certain extent, or rather to a larger extent, the education system trains an individual. I'm coming to a point of what I call the clever blacks.
Mm-hmm.
We are trained to become obedient employees
Mm.
to an extent that we do not dare to challenge the system or our bosses. As the advocate earlier put it quite clear that you are rewarded because you act in a certain way, you
Mm.
speak in a certain way, so
Yeah.
that you seem to be a nice person, if I can put it that way. So I think more especially, I'm speaking as a teacher myself, that we have a large and a huge problem in terms of how the education system forces, in a way captures the
Mm.
minds of young people to please the system and their bosses, that they do not
Mm.
speak against the oppressions that are taking place either in schools and leading into the workplace. So there's a system that is designed. We must remember that equally the education system was designed to exclude black people.
Mm.
Now when they incorporated black people and made it open, and I'm saying open in inverted commas,
Mm.
open for all people to come in. It was so that you can only learn and behave up to a certain extent. You
Mm.
cannot possess a mind of your own. You cannot become critical. You only have to say what you've been taught. We can look at all dynamics of education, how the economics will teach us that we have limited resources,
Mm.
and which we do not. And when you have limited resources, it conditions your mind to say that you cannot go against your boss, because when you do
Mm.
that, one, you will face retrenchment, you will be
Mm.
fired, therefore you will not be able to participate in the
Yeah.
socio-economic landscape. So
Mm.
we have a challenge with the education system, which I would like to also get your views, advocate, on how do we therefore transform the minds within society
Mm.
if the education system itself, there's not much noise that is made on the transformation, because I feel that the conversation for decolonized education, it's not given attention as it should, because
Mm.
I believe that it's one of the tools that will help us as young people, as educators, as members of the society, to understand where
Yeah.
we are at and how do we move forward. And again, my closing comment
Mm.
is that, look, indeed, when we become silent, when one of us is being attacked, one
Mm.
day the tables will turn and
Yeah.
we will be the victims. So we
Mm.
must guard against these clever blacks who are defenders of the system that is oppressing our people. We must never find ourselves in a situation whereby we are afraid to voice our opinions because the system will victimize us. But then again, how do we then bring this knowledge to young people, to the society, whereas there's this evil system, education system, that trains them, that they come to a point where they worship whiteness to an extent that, you will hear, I will speak it in my native language, gore
Mm.
makgwa a betere.
Mm.
There's this notion that when you have a white manager, things
Mm.
will run smoothly, and
Mm.
somehow you find fellow black defenders of the system
Mm.
believing that, an educated young person believing that, a white person can do better. The voice of a white person is much valuable. Go na le ya motho o montsho. So how do we then dismantle that system if the conversation is not on a level that we need to decolonize the educational system and dismantle it completely. Let me give a memo. Thank you very much, Mr. T, and the advocate, and Lady Countess, and everyone who is on this particular space.
Thank you very much. That's such a mouthful. You know, in my language, we say umlungu mdala, which means, you know, the white man knows is literally ancient and knows omniscient, knows everything, kind of. And you're right. Those are the kinds of things you must unlearn. You know, if I may, Mr. T, just take this opportunity also to welcome our public protector, and just to tell you guys that there you have one of the heroines of what I've been talking about. Somebody who is steadfast, makes mistake like all of us. You know, maybe more, some of us more than her, but who is not confused at all about the issues that I'm raising here. And I know that because I've worked with her quite a lot. And I can tell you, just as an example, and not because I'm a beneficiary of that, that there is nobody, no one in the state, in the government, in any state institution that you can think of who believes in Black professionals like she does, and no matter what. And imagine if we had even 2 or 3 people like that in our system, it would make such a big difference. I mean, she just in the legal space makes sure that it's Black lawyers, Black attorneys, Black advocates, women advocates who are on her team. And I've done so many cases of her being against the government, where the government is represented by white people. I mean, now that's what I was trying to say to Judge Zondo the other day, to say, what must our children do, going back to this question of learning? If the president of the country gets represented in court by white people, the Speaker of Parliament gets represented by white people, and the Deputy Chief Justice employs 6 white advocates to run his. So this mentality of umlungu mdala, how can we say we must take it away from our kids, if that is what our so-called leaders are telling us by their own actions? So the question about unlearning is really, it's about leadership. You know, our role as professionals is to give leadership, and leadership doesn't mean having a position to be the chairman of this or whatever. Leadership means acting by example, which is why I'm isolating the case of the public protector Mkhwebane, because you can't be telling people you must do certain things so that other people can watch and see and be able to learn from that. So we have a responsibility to use our education as a tool to liberate our people. I believe so much in that. I mean, you know, we get educated not even financially, but in how we conduct ourselves by the society. So if you manage to make it, really, you need to plow back more than just, as I say, charity, but by being visible, by being a leader, by showing people how it is not done, by taking people seriously, respecting people and so on, and not acting like some prima donna just because you have a Mercedes Benz. You know, that's what the younger generations will learn from us, or more than whatever lessons we can call them into a classroom. But that's not what it's about. So if we don't use this education to educate ourselves and to unlearn, more than educating, really unlearn the oppressive condition of umlungu mdala and all that kind of nonsense, and making and showing people, you know, how much people get inspired when we fight these fights. If we fight, whether it's in court or in the public arena, or like this JSC thing now, when ordinary people who don't have the voices that we have see those fights. They get so inspired. They will stop you in a supermarket and tell you a story about how you did this or you said that, which you have even forgotten yourself. To say, that changed. There's a gentleman, I was in Limpopo a few months ago, who just stopped me in a garage and said, you know what? Thank you for educating us, because when you are going to have a case at work, they know I have to take a day off because I sit there and I get educated about our constitution and so on. And for me, that's priceless, because that's if you can have that impact on some person that you don't even know, then you are doing something. Yeah. Okay.